What has driven actually this extended truce?
Well, certainly there's been pressure on both Israel and Hamas to extend the truce from the US, from many other countries concerned about the humanitarian situation inside Gaza, and also the priority to get these hostages back out of Gaza as soon as possible. And so very much a concerted effort on that front. And what we did see is the truce actually held for those 4 days, and prisoners were in fact exchanged from Israel back to Gaza, and of course the hostages back to Israel. So it does seem to have had some success. The idea is, like, let's give it a bit more air to breathe. 2 more days can mean some more hostages can come out, some more aid can go in, everybody gets a chance to collect themselves, including the civilians inside Gaza. But also it can give Hamas a chance to regroup itself potentially, and same with the Israeli forces. So it was probably seen as a benefit really for both sides to be doing this.
So how bad is the current humanitarian situation?
Well, we know it remains very difficult, even with that aid going in. Of course, we're talking about medicine and so on coming into the people of Gaza, but large parts of Gaza are still cut off. And if the aid comes in through these trucks, through the Rafah crossing, which is at the bottom near Egypt, that travelling up to the northern parts of Gaza is pretty much impossible, because Israel is really saying we don't want anything going into the northern areas of Gaza itself. So we know the humanitarian situation remains very dire. We know the Hamas that says 14,000 people have died inside Gaza since this conflict broke out, and that the death rate continues even if the fighting has paused for now. People have been trapped obviously under rubble, people are in hospitals without medicine and so on. So we know it remains very, very, very difficult indeed.
Is there a possibility that I guess the truce gets extended? Antony Blinken is also going for the 3rd time since the attacks on October 7th.
Well, it's interesting to see he's making yet another trip to the region in between a NATO ministerial and then obviously going on to the COP meeting on climate change. But he's been there 3 times now, I think, since the war broke out, and very, very busy talking to all the parties involved. But certainly the truce has made sense for 4 days, perhaps for 6. But the comments from the Israeli Prime Minister have been very, very clear. He doesn't think this is accomplished. He thinks there's a lot more to do. He says his ultimate goal is to eradicate Hamas, and that's not been achieved so far. And he's just said that from the outset. At whatever point this truce, which he won't call a ceasefire, ends, the fighting will resume.